Hi, I'm Lauren Bryant, twin mum, event host, and award-winning small business specialist with a background in automotive and finance. I'm coming up to 10 years of Empower House, where I've helped hundreds of women streamline and scale their business. The greatest thing I've built, though, is an incredible community through my events, the Brunch Club. In over 70 live events, I've created thousands of connections and raised tens of thousands of dollars for charity. Most of all, I created a no-pressure networking space for women to feel seen, heard, and supported. This podcast is an extension of that, where I can share what I've learned, bring amazing speakers to share their story, and keep living the Empower House values: community, empowerment, and education. If you are an ambitious woman in business, welcome. This is for you.
Hi, darling. Welcome back to the podcast. I am so glad to have you here today because we are talking about my shittiest client experiences ever. I have 3 stories to share with you from my nearly 10 years in my own business. And for me, it's important that other people know that you have trouble sometimes. It is really easy to come across online as perfect and flawless and blessed as all get out and, never having any issues. But that's not the reality of business. It's certainly not been the reality for me. I know that it's been very stressful. There are times where you think, oh my God, what am I doing? You're scrolling Seek, looking for a job, all of that sort of stuff. And then coming back to, no, I kind of love this. And I do love this. But I have 3 stories to share with you today. It is a little bit of a tea spilling session, but there are some important lessons that I would like to impart with you. And I think it's just nice to have a bit of a peek behind the curtain and hear what other people have been through. So, my first story for you today is about a woman who found me online, and the moment that I started speaking with this lady, she waved every red flag imaginable. And I still took her on as a client, knowing somewhere in me, however you want that to come out, that this person was a bad fit. They were not going to be a good client at the end of the day. This was going to be a stressful situation. I still took her money and did the project anyway. And that is accountability 101. You know when somebody is a poor fit for your business and you know that it's going to be a headache and you do it anyway, that is partly on you. And so, ha to me that got stitched up with this one. But anywho, the story is this. She found me online. This job should have been a very simple one. She was in a professional service and needed a website for her business. She had the content, the branding, everything ready to go. We did the consult, as I always do. I start with a consult to see what they need, what they like, what they're happy with, what they're not happy with, what they need their website to do, what they want the project end result to be, right? So we went through all of that. And this person starts by telling me how many people have ripped her off, how many times she's been disappointed by service providers. And I'm telling you, there was a story for everything. She had 0 nice things to say about anybody that she has ever worked with. And let me tell you, that is the biggest red flag out there. Yes, I am aware that there are plenty of people doing dodgy things. They promise you the world, they charge you like a wounded bull, and then they do not deliver. I understand that, but I firmly believe, especially considering my experience and somebody else's that I know as well with this person, I believe that this, in fact, is the client that is the problem, not all of the service providers that she had interacted with previously. Anywho, I took her money knowing she was going to be a problem. And I did the project and turned it around pretty quickly. It was fairly straightforward. Something one of my business mentors has taught me a decade ago was that the person with the notes wins in court. And I adopted that philosophy early on in my business. And I can tell you it has saved me a lot. And so one of the things that I do when I'm doing a handover with someone, I do a recorded training / handover. So my clients get a copy of this training where we go through how to log in, how to make changes, how all of these different bits and pieces work. So at any time, if they need to fix something, they want to add something, they can go back and go through this training with me at any time, 24/7. It lives in their Google Drive or their Dropbox. It's there, ready to go for them. The other thing that this does is make sure that I have evidence of the fact that, one, I have finished this project, two, they have received training and the handover that I promised, and three, they're happy with the work. And so we do the handover. This person is very happy with the project. She says to me, "You've nailed it. You've nailed the brief. This is excellent. I'm so happy. Thank you very much." Off she goes. A week later, of course, on a Friday afternoon, I get an email from this person and she is livid. I probably should have brought up the email so I could read it to you, but it was scathing. I want a full refund is basically the whole premise of this email. I spiraled. My mum caught me on that and was like, this lady just wants to take you for a ride, just she wants a full refund and it isn't warranted. So don't worry about it. I went back and I did make some changes and spent a little bit of extra time and money on this website. And I came back to the client and I said, I've added WP Rocket, so the site moves a bit faster, it loads a bit faster. It did have some movement in the grading on the website, but really it was a lightweight website. It was fine. There was nothing wrong with it. I'm just trying to appease this person who is expecting I'm going to pay her full amount for a job I've completed. Not happening. Anyway, I went back to her and just said, I've done this. Here you go. I hope that sorts it for you. She writes back to me again, demanding she's going to be fully refunded for this website that she can't possibly use and blah, blah, blah. Thankfully, as you'll remember, I have my recording. So I send her the link again and I tell her, that's odd because in this recording at about 5 minutes and 45 seconds, because I'm a snarky bitch when I want to be, you tell me that you love the website and I have nailed the brief and it's everything that you needed. And I didn't hear from her again. So lesson number 1, keep records. And when someone walks into your life waving red flags, don't take them on as a client, because we do know that this person isn't going to be a fit. I think when you think about the worst client experiences that you've had, you saw that person coming and went, that's going to be bad. And we do it anyway. I know I was in the mode of all jobs are good jobs, get the money in. I was powering through work at the time. And that's what I did. And it came to bite me in the ass with that particular client. So the second story that I have for you is one about your boundaries and also the piece in business where I keep saying, don't keep over delivering, right? You want to get paid for the work that you are doing. And this is a really good example of that for me, where I did more than what I was paid for, and then it still came and bit me in the ass. I had a person in my life who I was kind of friends with, and they asked me to do 2 projects. It was 2 websites. And I said yes. And I did them at a discounted rate because, mates rates and all of that sort of stuff. And this person completely overstepped on boundaries. There was phone calls and text messages and emails and stuff, and it was always outside of business hours and on weekends and stuff like that. And first of all, that isn't okay. I don't care if you are a friend or if you are a long-term client. You need to contact people within set hours. And also, as a business owner and a service provider, you have to hold that boundary for yourself and say, you know what, you can email me at 2 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday morning. That's fine. But I'm not going to get back to you until business hours Monday. And that is something that I didn't do with this person, because they would email me and then they would text me or call me to follow up on that email. And it's like not really giving me a chance to get back into work mode, but also expecting that I'm going to be on 24/7 for them, which wasn't cool. I did this project. They didn't come to me with content. I created the content, which I wasn't paid for, but I wanted to help them out. I wanted to do the thing. We get to the end of these 2 projects, and as I've said before, I do a handover. Normally this is done on Zoom online. I did this handover in person, and I spent 2 hours doing the handover. Again, I recorded it because training plus handover video, right? We get to the end of this 2-hour handover session because I'm doing 2 different projects. And they say to me, oh, great, now you can do a handover with my team. And this is where things started to go south, because you will remember I've been contactable outside of hours. I've done more work than I've been paid for. And now they're expecting that I'm also going to spend more time doing another handover for their team. I said, no, I'm not doing that. I've just done 2-hour videos. You can hand that to your team and they can go through the handover themselves. This person said at the time, yep, cool, no problem, and was happy with the thing. They were a bit off when they left. They were a bit off. And what happened next was actually the most painful part about this experience, because I hear around the traps, as you do, because I'm from the Gold Coast and the community here is actually very small. Yes, we've got skyscrapers and all of that, but this is essentially a large country town, and word gets around pretty quickly, especially when you move in similar circles. And so I heard from a number of people that my name was being dragged through the mud. And despite them smiling in my face and telling me how happy they are with this project and saying thanks and all of that sort of thing, they were turning around and telling other people not to work with me. And that was pretty outrageous, actually. And then I started getting some pretty nasty emails on top of this. This just becomes a bitch session if I get into all of that. But what I can say is, number one, a real friend is never going to ask you for more than they're paying you for. And if you decide to do mates rates, discounts, and all of that sort of thing, that's on you. But a value add is always better than discounting your service. And when people get a discount, it does cheapen the service, whatever you're selling. So maybe think about sticking to your pricing and adding something else. Have a think about the thing that you are selling, your hero offer, and how you can add something else that makes it extra special, rather than just knocking money off the price. Because at the end of the day, that comes out of your pocket. And you're in business to make money, among other things, but to make money. Having strong boundaries within your business is essential. If you are going to work business hours, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, that is when people can expect a response from you. And if you need to, you can say to people, don't contact me about business on my personal Instagram, my Facebook Messenger, my personal phone, like email me at my business email. If you have something that you want to talk about that is business related, speak to me during business hours. If you want to speak to me about something business related, you get to choose when and how you do business in a way that suits your life. And let me tell you, back then at this point when I'm having this issue, I was working all the time. So I didn't notice it so much until that accessibility to me was being abused. And I was already feeling drained because, I've charged X amount to do a job, but it's actually blown up to be a much bigger job and I'm not getting paid for that. So any little extra thing like a text message or an email or a phone call outside of your hours starts to feel huge. And to be fair, it's pretty disrespectful. So yeah, it is huge. So boundaries, and also if somebody signs up for your service, for your offer, whatever that may be, and they aren't fully prepared to put in the work to get you the things that you need in order to provide that service, that's on them. You don't have to go and save them. You're not a lifesaver jumping in with the little floaty. Don't do it. If they can't get content to you, if they can't get payment to you, leave it there. That's on them. Wait for them to get their shit in order and then continue on. You do not need to extend yourself just to save somebody else. You don't need to. You are being paid for a job. Do that job. That is all that you are required to do. Sell the thing and do the thing that you're selling. Easy. And finally, I have one more. This person was to do with my events. And as you know, I have been hosting events now for 8 years. And in that time, I have built an amazing community. I'm really proud of it. Community is one of my highest values. And I did something wrong. I did. I said something at an event that offended somebody. Straight after the event, I was made aware of the offense that I had caused. And I went straight to this person. She was still there. We spoke about it. We cleared the air. I assured her that I had meant no offense. I apologized. I was mortified. I'm still mortified when I think about it. Her and I made amends. I thought everything was good. I then heard, again, Gold Coast is a small place. I then heard around that the story had changed, for one, and it was blown out of proportion. And she was telling people not to come to my events. She was bad-mouthing me. And this person, still to this day, smiles at my face, gives me a hug, all of that sort of stuff, and was super friendly to me. But you know perfectly well that this is just mean girl shit. And I think the lesson in this one is some people are just going to be who they are. And you don't have to be friends with everybody. You do have to act with integrity. And absolutely, I own that I offended this person. I absolutely own that. And I apologized to her at the time, straight away, as soon as I found out that I had done that. And yeah, fair enough. I am a human. And out of the over 70 events, I have offended one person that I know about at one event. So, stuff happens like that sometimes. But in my opinion, and I think probably any reasonable person's opinion, if you have a problem with someone has caused offense to you, and you have an opportunity to talk that through and you make up and everything's fine, be fine. You cannot to someone's face say, oh, it's all good. I know everything's okay. Kiss, kiss, we're totally friends. Everything's fine. And then turn around and tell everybody else that it's not fine and I'm a bitch. Fine. Just choose a side. But I think it's really important not to focus on the one person who's being a mean girl or the one person who is going out of their way to get under your skin. Yes, it's very frustrating. Yes, it's hurtful, actually. And yes, it can actually have an impact on your business when somebody is walking around town gossiping and bitching and saying pretty terrible things about you and encouraging other people not to spend money with your business. Yes, that can be pretty dreadful, and it can make you want to go scorched earth. But what's the point? That doesn't get you any further. It opens up to more gossip and more garbage. And honestly, I just let people be. Go right ahead. In almost 10 years of business, I have come across so many different types of people. And for the most part, I am surrounded by absolute legends. I have so many people in my life who are 6, 7, 8-figure business people. They are guns at what they do. They are full of integrity. They are genuine. They are uplifting. They are doing things for the community that you will never hear about because they do it quietly and they succeed and they make this world a better place. And that is where I choose to invest my time and my energy, because those people are worth investing in. When they message me and they say, I have an event, I am happy to share it. I'm happy to go if I can go. These days that's a bit harder, but I'm there to open an envelope. But there are other people who are out there and their one goal is to drag you down so they can stand on your shoulders. They just want to cause other people pain. Maybe they're not all that well, and maybe they're not having a good time. Maybe they feel like the only way they can get ahead is to claw somebody else back. But there are plenty of seats at the table. There's plenty of money to go around. There's so many things that you can be doing to improve your life that don't involve tearing others down or bad-mouthing them. However, if you find that you are constantly surrounded by that kind of behavior, it is time to have a look at what you are putting out there, the things that we keep accepting in our social circles, in our business circles, in our clients, in our friends, in our family. Have a look at the energy that you are putting out there. Have a look at what you're accepting from your closest people, because the people closest to you do affect the way that you think and feel and act and present to the world. It has a big impact, bigger than I think some people realize. I'm going to backtrack a little bit, because from the first story, I thought that there was something wrong with me when I got that email. I thought that there was something lacking in me, and I felt really stupid for not realizing what this client was going to be. I mean, I knew at the time, like I said, I knew walking into it, she wasn't going to be great. But when it blew up in my face, I felt really dumb. Until I heard from another amazing businesswoman who also worked with this person, and she had the exact same experience that I did with them. She did the work, the client said, "This is great, thanks so much," and then turned around a week later and demanded a full refund. Now, this other person that I know gave her a refund because she's just like, take your money and leave me alone. I just want you to know that when you come across things like this, it is an opportunity to grow and to learn and to get better at holding your boundaries, and just not to beat yourself up so much about it. And if you have had any of these similar experiences, which I'm sure you probably have, I want you to know that you are not alone, and the best business people in the world will come across shitty clients, because that's what happens. And it's all about the boundaries that you set in place, the systems that you have to support you, and the network that you build that is full of the amazing people that are out there. And if you are in the middle of lots of shittiness, then I'm sorry about that. And I feel for you. But there's so many incredible people out there. Don't quit on your dream. Don't quit on your business. Get outside your current circles and find the people who are going to continue to inspire you and uplift you. Welcome to a little preview of the things that I have been through in my business life. I do hope that these stories help you feel seen and heard, and maybe are a little bit of a giggle, because, it is kind of funny. I find it funny now. And that's it from me. If you would like to come and share with me some things that you have learnt along the way, come and DM me on Instagram. I am at empower.house. I always love to hear from you. Have an amazing day. I will see you again next time.
Hi, I'm Lauren Bryant, twin mum, event host, and award-winning small business specialist with a background in automotive and finance. I'm coming up to 10 years of Empower House, where I've helped hundreds of women streamline and scale their business. The greatest thing I've built, though, is an incredible community through my events, the Brunch Club. In over 70 live events, I've created thousands of connections and raised tens of thousands of dollars for charity. Most of all, I created a no-pressure networking space for women to feel seen, heard, and supported. This podcast is an extension of that, where I can share what I've learned, bring amazing speakers to share their story, and keep living the Empower House values: community, empowerment, and education. If you are an ambitious woman in business, welcome. This is for you. Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today. I hope you loved this episode. If you did, please remember to share it with somebody else who you think will enjoy it too. I would love it if you leave a review, which helps me reach more people just like you. And don't forget to come and join me on Instagram at empower.house. Thank you, darling.